All right, let's turn our attention to another big story in the northern part of Nigeria.
It's a really big one.
More than 1,520 widows, divorcees, and spinsters were married off in a mass wedding ceremony across the 44 local government areas of Kano State in northwest Nigeria.
Now, the marriage, according to the government, is a way of reducing the number of unmarried men and women in the state, and we're here too to actually reduce the number of of divorce in that part of the country. Now, the Kano mass wedding ceremony was conducted at the city central mosque with a payment of 20,000 naira dowry of each of the married couples. Now, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, who witnessed the first mass wedding under his administration, says more will be done in the future.
Yeah, he charged the newly wedded couples to respect one another.
We are here today in order to advise our newly married couples. The marriage was constructed, was conducted, was concluded in the morning across the 44 local governments of Kano State. In each local government, the traditional institution is involved. The ulama in the local government are involved. The Hizbah officials are involved. The local government chairman and his councillors are involved. And the bride and the bridegrooms were deeply involved.
My message for the couples is to be patient with each other and also to work together for the success of their marriage.
I tell you, this is really a very interesting issue, I must say.
It
very
really
interesting.
is. How would you like your state to actually, help you pay the dowry for your bride?
Well, it's here and there. It's good the government is involved, but I am the man.
Well, it's not our opinion. I mean, one would have thought really that the person who pays the dowry is actually the husband, or maybe the family of the husband, and not necessarily the state. But of course, our guest, Gbenga Sholoki, is a public affairs analyst. He's right here in the studio, and we'll be looking at this together. So, what's your take on this state's involvement in paying a dowry as high as, 20,000 naira?
I want to say that it's another failure on the part of that leadership. It's a failure because if you have provided an enabling environment for people to work freely, to earn their living, you wouldn't need to make provision for marriages. For God's sake, there are laid down procedure for you to get married to. We are getting married. It is not for the government. Like somebody has rightly pointed out, it is a contract between the man and the woman. It must be shown that there is commitment. There must be readiness. There must be ability to also carry on with the relationship after wedding. But for the government to have come out, it shows that the government does not have anything to do for the people of that state. But people jubilating over mass wedding, it's amount to irresponsibility.
Well, let's put it this way, because this is not the first time. It usually happens in Kano State. But the point there is, the terrain and the socio-economic realities in Kano State, government is trying to be proactive by trying to help. Don't you think
there's nothing like being proactive at that point in time.
Coming into
listen, there's nothing like being proactive in that. All over the world, there are divorced people everywhere. There are splinters everywhere. There are widows and widowers everywhere. That does not mean that the level of promiscuity or some other things will go up. But the fact remains that, like I mentioned the other time, that it is the failure on the leadership of that state. You will recollect a senator who maybe I will not mention for today, married at the age of about 60, married a 14-year-old girl. That is a problem in such a place. By the time you marry a
Although
novice,
that wasn't from Kano State.
I'm coming. We are marrying at the age of 17, 18. You understand? By the time the girl will get to the peak of her sexual life, the man will have become something else. So what else do we want to do than to divorce the man to be on the streets again?
Well, let's look at, the reasons why the Kano State government has decided to intervene in this way.
Yeah.
Number one, it feels that, look, there's so many widows and widowers just totally abandoned. Okay, nobody's taking care of them, and then you have the divorce rate that is going through the roof and all of that. Doesn't it make sense that the government can actually come in, in this way to help? Because otherwise, when you have people who are, just totally homeless, nowhere to turn, helpless, wouldn't that be a burden on the state government?
Okay,
isn't that what they're trying to prevent?
It will provide employment. Marry them out will provide accommodation for them.
At least it gives them some
stability. You see, it's just government shying away from its responsibility. You have a responsibility to provide for the citizenry. One, a government, a responsible government, must be able to provide employment for its people. You have a man who is not engaged productively. You have a lady who is not productive. You see, my own years of study of domestic violence reveals that the greatest problem problem in the marriage is poverty. Unfortunately, our government is not looking in that direction.
All right, let me paint a scenario here.
Okay.
We have seen areas where, or times where, not even in Nigeria, where the state intervenes. For instance, in Edo State, in Bayelsa State, in Kwara State, we've had people who give birth to quadruplets sometimes, and the government comes to say, I need to assist you and give you this. These are social responsibility or intervention from the government. So if in this case, the people themselves, if the people are willing to be married, but didn't maybe have the means to, as the case may be, and the government decides to come to intervene, is there anything wrong in that?
I think you have mentioned one thing, interventions. There are supposed to be intervention at a particular point in time. But the government of Kano had made it a policy of government. No, that's what I'm saying. You don't make such a policy of government, for God's sake. It is not a policy of government. A policy of government involves the provision of employment, enabling environment for business to thrive. So if you are intervening, it's going to be at a particular point in time.
Yeah,
but
we know, we know that the responsibility of government is for the welfare and security of the people. If marriage is part of the welfare of the people,
why not?
If security is the welfare of the people, or well-being of the people, is the responsibility of government, and the government of Kano State decided, okay, fine, if this is going to make you happy, let me enhance or let me intervene, let me assist you. Is there anything wrong in that?
I'm not getting this thing clear. Maybe I'm not getting it clear with you.
Okay, listen. Let me help you here.
No, listen.
Now, first off, hold on, please. Now, this particular program was instituted since 2011. There's dowry plus free room, furniture for the couples. Number one, HIV test mandatory for them. There is evidence of economic and financial well-being of the groom. The government is not taking away from that. Now, government wants to ensure that the person the persons who are getting married have impeccable character, and then the guarantee for better work, for better, for worse. No, I like this particular provision where the government says you cannot divorce, and that solves the problem in itself, doesn't it?
You can't force people to live together perpetually. If there are reasons for them to go their separate way, they should go. So it's one of those things I'm saying. You see, when you are talking about the conditions stated out, you mentioned that the person must be gainfully employed. You understand? I'm telling you today, as a Nigerian, as somebody who has followed Nigeria politics very well, it is just job for the boys. It's just creating an environment for the boys. You understand? If truly government wants to be proactive, wants to be responsible and responsive, it is the provision of employment that must be provided. It is not just spending money on margin or matchmaking to people. I do some.
Well, don't you think the sense of family, gives some kind of sense of stability? I mean, you have a northern part of the country where there's a lot of crisis, youth unemployment, youth
is it limited to Kano alone? Is it limited
militancy
to
and all of that.
Not alone?
Well, we hear that this is actually spreading. States like Gombe and others who, are already doing this. So isn't it a good thing in the long run when we look at it, especially looking at the peculiarities of our own environment?
Okay, fine. Let him comment on that when we come back from the break. Stay with us right now. We're discussing Kano State, the mass wedding taking place there, or that has been taking place there since 2011 until now. All right, we're also going out on TVC Entertainment now, but viewers there can continue with breakfast program on TVC Nigeria on DSTV channel 418.
And Go TV 45. Yeah. Do stay with us.
All right.
You're welcome back. Yes, we're talking about the Kano mass weddings. It's a program that's been instituted since 2011. And so far, we hear that about 280 babies, or 60 actually, have been born, between that time and now. And some 5,000 or so couples have been married. Is it a good thing or not? How do you see it?
It's really interesting anyway. Now, before we have with us Winga Sholoki, his public affairs analyst. We've been talking about this. We expected to have someone from Kano join us on the discussion, so we hear from the ground there. But let's give you some basic foundation. And the mass weddings around the world are nothing new. With the earliest recorded in 324 BC during Alexander the Great's wedding to a Persian princess, when he simultaneously wed many of his upstanding soldiers to other Persian women.
Now, the northern city of Kano in Nigeria instituted mass wedding in 2011 with full sponsorship that guarantees payment of dowry and free room furniture to couples, divorcees, widows, widowers, and single mothers to address the high rate of marital failure in the state. Now, Kano State has the highest divorce rate in Nigeria. Did you know that?
Wow.
And one of the highest rates in the world, with 80% of marriages reportedly collapsing, and that's according to reports by the state government.
Well, I was even expecting that a state like Lagos that has lots of people too busy. But it's all right. Well, it's good to know. That a non-governmental organization, Voice of Divorcees and Widows Association of Nigeria, estimates that there are 1 million divorcees and widows in the state. And statistics have also shown that no fewer than 4,000 widows and widowers have been joined in holy matrimony from 2012 to 2017.
In 2012, Nigeria recorded its first mass wedding in Kano State when 100 couples were married off during the administration of former Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso. Now, this year, the state government sponsored the first batch wedding of 1,520 widows in 44 local government areas of the state, while the second and third batch will come up later in the year.
Now, the wedding was solemnized by the chief imam of Kano Central Mosque, Professor Sani Zaharuddin, and witnessed by the emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, and thousands of Muslims. Now, the couples were subjected to various tests by the Kano State Islamic Authority, the Hisbah Board, HIV test, evidence of economic and financial well-being of the grooms, and clearance from the ward head that vouched for their impeccable character, which will ascertain the clause for better, for worse.
And that particular clause is something that guest Binga Shuluki has a problem with. Now, State Hisbah Board, Dr. Abba Sufi stated that Hisbah Board does not condone divorce under the marriage arrangement and would seek redress in court in the event of violation, as the couples were simply married till death. Okay. The scheme has raised eyebrows among skeptics who perceive the action of Kano, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kaduna, Jigawa state governments, among others, as addressing the symptom of the malaise and not the root cause of it. Now, another set of arguments critics put forward is that rather than marrying off the divorcees and widows, it might be more strategic for the Kano state government to empower them with soft skills, training, and access to soft loans and microcredit to enable them become productive members of society. That's the main argument of Winga Sholoki this morning. Even apart from that, we know the Catholic Church sometimes organizes mass weddings sometimes. I've attended one of those, and it's really a beautiful sight.
So
but then
to say.
again, of course, it does not pay the
dowries.
dowries, you
Yes.
know, finance these weddings. Now, who pays for these weddings, really? That's the main question. Is it the taxpayer in Kano or wherever else these weddings will be taking place, like Katsina, Kaduna, and Gombe? Should it be coming from the taxpayer, or who's? Or is it
Taxpayer.
Ganduje's pocket?
As far as it's the government that is paying, it's
Obviously.
taxpayers.
Payers' money. Look, my argument is always that. Look, instead of government pulling resources out from the covers to pay for dowries, government should concern itself with its basic responsibility of the welfare of the people
But
of
we
the
seem
state.
to be losing sight of the
No,
fact
no, no,
that
no.
the highest divorce rate in Nigeria
Is
is
in
in
Kano.
80%. That is a problem, and
It
it might
is
just be a
not.
time.
It's a
It
social
might be a
problem.
time bomb waiting to explode.
Listen, it is not a problem. It is still the failure on the side of the government, for God's sake. If people are divorcing, has government really looked into that? What is the reason? What is the root cause of such why the thing is going up? Government has not deemed it fit to also conduct a research into reason for the high rate of divorce in the states. Government must do that first. It is just a quick way out that the government is looking at, marrying them off. No. Who says that tomorrow it will not happen again? Okay, the government, the Hisbah board is saying that it's there do us part. That leads to domestic violence. Aside that, the government will seize, because he has, the man in charge of Hisbah board has said, if a man violates or a woman violates such, there will be a court action.
Yeah.
So is it not still spending state government resources?
There's a court action on
Why
one of
not
them.
look at what has really happened?
Yeah, there's a court action on one of them already. Who gave birth
A
one
day
day
after.
after the wedding, and she's been charged. My question there is, she's been charged for adultery.
And lying.
Yeah, but the point there is, adultery, when the act happened, she wasn't married. So why would she be charged for adultery when she gave birth to? But however, let's come down to the issue of even the screening process. A woman who is supposed to be married, and then there are screenings, is pregnant for 9 months, and
Heavily pregnant.
heavily pregnant, and then the screening, she was able to beat the screening process. How? What?
That's what I'm saying. That it's just government running away from its responsibility by marrying these people off. Let me tell you, if you are conducting a test, the Hisbah board is not a medical place for you to test whether, because if you are saying you are conducting tests, all the tests must be conducted.
But I doubt if they'll do those tests without the input of medical personnel.
But at least from this example, from this graphic example you have painted now, a woman was heavily pregnant and was married off.
Yeah, according to her, according to reports, we hear that she actually presented her younger sister's urine
yeah,
to the
board.
To the board,
So
and
the
so that was
screening-
what they used to carry out the test. And
I
that's how.
will say this: it is just about it's about hypocrisy. How will you not know a woman who is 9 months pregnant? For God's sake, we are not kids. The government should stop deceiving us. Because if a woman is about 4 or 5 months pregnant, you will see it. It is obvious. 9 months is not a pregnancy that you can hide. For God's sake. So the government is itself, like I mentioned, I maintain that the government is just running away from its responsibility of providing the basic necessities for the people.
All right, Benga, let's see from the other side. You have made your point clear, and we understand now. But what can we pick from this? What are the other, maybe little positives of this?
Yeah, if there are any at all.
I don't see any positive. Because my own take is this. Government does not have role to play in a man and woman relationship. It is an intimate thing. It is their readiness to also get involved. But one thing is sure, it is just to siphon money to some pockets. That I'm very sure of. It is not beneficial to the society. If you are saying, yes, people are divorcing, have you looked at the reasons? Have you addressed the reason? Most of the reasons, I said my own year of activism, of involvement in social work, is to look at what is the reason for violence in the home. It is poverty. One of the main reasons is poverty. The government must address that. Government must provide job for the, like.
But even don't forget, even in the most advanced countries, you have divorce rates going through the
yes,
roof.
yes.
And where there's no,
we
it's not really about poverty and all
have
that.
a peculiar case on our hand. There is about modernization. It's about extremism. People have gotten all the good things of life. They want to be on their own. A lady doesn't want to come down for a man.
Submit.
You understand? And we have a different culture here. I'm an African. We have a different culture in Africa. The woman must be submissive, which is even advised by the holy books. If you understand. So definitely it is quite different from what we have there. There are those widows or those who are divorced are carefully employed, for God's sake. But here, the government is trying to shark away from its responsibility by marrying them so that the man will take up the responsibility. But a man who is employed or who has something doing, the thing might not be productive for him alone.
Is this not some kind of stopgap measure?
It is just adding to his budget. It is adding to the burden of the man. While
government provides some of those social structures that will make it, possible in the future for these people to be able to handle their own.
It is about 5 years now.
Yes.
That they have started the madness.
Yeah.
Has there been any social responsibility on the part of government, or has the government addressed such? After 5 years, you cannot do anything. You are not ready to do anything.
All right, Gbenga Sholoki, thank you very much for giving us perspectives on the program this morning.
The debate obviously continues. We hope to hear from the Kano state government to tell us exactly how beneficial this has been since
and some of the reasons behind state government coming into this, so people can get to understand this even more. We certainly will look forward to that time, other times. Gbenga, thank you very much for that this morning. Thank you. We'll go on a break, and then when we come back, we'll be dwelling on other issues now.